Hey, what's up family, it's Sugar from Sound Candy Studio. Today I'm going to take a very quick look at the Roland TR-808 software by Roland. I know it's been out since January of 2018, but I thought I would just take a very sneak peek at it and just see if I like it or not. See you in a moment. Welcome back. Right, today, as I said, we are talking about the Roland TR-808 Rhythm Composer, back from the 80s, you know, lots of hip-hop, R&B, pop, what else did it do? Disco sounds. It's a very useful machine. The hardware, original hardware, is in short supply, as you can imagine. However, I do know that Behringer are doing one. I think they've already released it, or they're releasing it this year, 2018. So that will be their take on it. This one's from the Roland Cloud and their suite of products. There is also in that suite, there is the 909. So if you're interested in that, certainly worth giving that a try. And with most of the products that I review, there is a 30-day trial. So go and take a look at it. Certainly, you'd have to obviously register and subscribe and download the Roland Manager, the Cloud Manager, but it's not difficult. Okay, so how does this sound? Compared to the original hardware, I think it's a very good copy of the original hardware without all the fiddling and the knobs getting sticky when you spilt some drink in the studio or someone's been eating their lunch. Start, stop button, edit button. So let's just quickly run through them. Obviously you have your volume here and the instrument selector, the shuffle button. Under the individual tracks you have the accent, you have the under the bass drum you've got your level, tone and decay, as with some others, that being the snare drum and also the cymbal. All the others have their individual rotary knobs for level. At the bottom here you have 1 to 16. This would be your individual steps of your sequencer. They also double up to let you know where the individual instruments themselves are hiding. So if you click here, you're going to get that. Underneath the edit button, this is where you have your step sequencer. So as you can see, which these are all corresponding to these ones here. So if we give it a quick press, there we go. You will see what that does. So in terms of a product, I think it's a very good product. I think it was very smart of Roland to do it because there have been many others on the market of these rhythm composers and 808. Namely, Contact do a huge amount of 808s, and I think it was a smart move to do this. Possibly a bit late for them to do it in terms of there are loads on the market. I haven't tested others which are similar to this. Which probably is worth doing, but yeah, it certainly was a good idea for Roland to do this. Let's flick through some of the presets and let's hear what they sound like. And by the way, these are preloaded presets already in there, so if you download the Roland Cloud and you get access to this, it's well worth taking a listen to. Maybe even just as an idea, as a starting point for what you might want to do. Let's just go to the next one. The presets are, as you'd expect them to be, they're just a quick preset of some of the kits. Let's actually change, let's do that again, but let's change the kit here. And let's go and try something else. So as with this kit, as you'd expect, I believe the bass drum is on C1 on your keyboard. So if you transpose, you can get that higher or lower. But I believe it by default it's on C1, and there are only 16. So it will just take you all the way through one entire octave. So that would be cool. Let's see what else we've got in here by way of a preset. Incidentally, if you click down here, you will see the pattern that's being played, and if you obviously want to tap more in, you can just sequence them in somehow. And if you've ever used one of these, it works exactly as you'd expect it to work. It's not very complicated. I think with all of these things that you have to like the sound, and you have to be prepared to sit and learn a few things. But it's quite self-explanatory. Let me go to my list and bring up my demo. I just made a blank track and quickly I just tapped this on the keyboard, so it wasn't very difficult. Actually, none of it's very difficult, to be honest with you. And this is obviously a simple MIDI track. What is good about it, if you have other MIDI tracks of drums, just drag and drop them on the TR-808 and away you go. It's as simple as that. Do I like it? Yes, I do. I think it's well worth having. And I think if you get used to slamming on your keyboard or your launch pad or your Contact or any of the instruments that you have to get the sounds out, and you get used to it, I think it's very, very good. Even out the box as it is, I think it's very good. I think the sequencer, if you haven't sequenced before, I think it's well worth learning to do, because I think, it's another skill, isn't it, really? It gives you the full understanding of how drum patterns are made up. Yes, you can do it in your DAW, and yes, it probably may even be simpler, but this is just a bit of fun. I quite like the sound. I quite like the whole idea of using it. Have I used it a lot? No, but I do like it, and there are times when I just jump on it and say, look, I'm just going to play around and use it for simply making a quick demo track. Right, that's it from me. Did I miss anything? There are a few things I missed. The scale here. So if you click on the scale button, let's load up a preset for me. Let's just do that. Let's load up the preset, and I just explain this scale button. Where are we now? Let's have a look. What have I done? Okay, so I've just gone. Okay. The scale button obviously increases the increments, and so essentially it will make it go faster or slower. So let's change the scale. Let's click on the scale. Let's try it there. Yeah. So that's essentially what that does. The other thing I find somewhat frustrating, and I don't know why I find it frustrating. Well, I do know why, and I'll do that now. The other thing I find frustrating is if you hit your spacebar in your DAW, it will obviously start this going. But if you're playing these presets, then you kind of don't want the transport bar going. So if you hit it, yeah, it's going to start going, and if you stop it, it will stop. But when you're going through these presets, you might as well just do this. Just hit the start and stop on this, just because it seems to be easy, and it's something that I keep finding myself doing. Let's see what else I may have missed. Yeah, there's not a lot to this. It's very similar to the original model, other than this is digital. That's essentially it, and it may be laid out a bit easier because the other one you had to simply press. So if you were going to select the bass drum, you'd have to select the bass drum and then map the keys in this way. You didn't have the option to pull this down and be able to simply hold down your mouse and run across and do that. But that is, if you're an old school user of the product, that will be different, because previously in the hardware you had to simply, so if you're going to create a bass kick, you'd have to go here, and you'd have to do it that way. Then you'd have to select the hi-hats or open and close and do all the way along and do it that way. But yeah, this is the digital version. Certainly worth taking a look at. And as I said, I also have the 909. They are two different machines. Possibly at some point in the future I may just take a look at that. But I believe, in my head at least, they are very similar products to what the hardware is, not to each other. So they are both rhythm composers, but they sound different. So that's the essential thing about this. But certainly go in and take a look at the Roland Cloud and see what you think. I probably will do some other instruments which are slightly more complicated and take a bit more time. But do I like the Roland TR-808 as a software by Roland? Yes, I do. Okay, that's it from me. Take care. Bye-bye.